We will not accept ceasefire. This seems to be a direct statement that has now come in from the Iranian side, saying that they do not want last year's scenario to repeat. As the Iranian foreign minister has said that Tehran will not accept a ceasefire, warning that Tehran does not want last year's scenario to be repeated. His remarks is coming amid the ongoing conflict and rising tensions in the region. He's saying that we will not accept a ceasefire of what happened last year as far as when it comes to in June 2025. Thereupon, a ceasefire, a truce was agreed, and then it was the joint strikes this year in February end that was launched by US and Israel. Well, there seems to be, obviously, there will be no confidence, Shinjoy. Good afternoon. As what we are looking at, Donald Trump seems to be denying a ceasefire, and so is now Iran.
See, there's been talk about Prime Minister and India playing the role of a peace, being in the peace talks. But at this point, of all the three countries involved, who wants to make peace? Who is keen to make peace? You see the Iranians, they're not ready to have peace right at this point. Nor are the Americans, nor are the Israelis. So at this point, no one wants a ceasefire, no one wants negotiations, no one wants discussions, no one wants dialogue. That's the bottom line. Now, how long this war will last, nobody knows. It's already 22 days into this very, very disquieting moment for the world. And yet, there is absolutely no sign that anybody wants peace. President Trump has said that, well, the war is going to end soon. And then there is an escalation. So this is what we've been seeing for these last week or so. The first 2 weeks, you could understand that the war was going to go on for a while. But now in this last week, there has been talk of peace occasionally, and then suddenly you will have an escalation. That seems to be the option that all three participants have chosen. The people suffering, of course, have been the Gulf countries, the neighboring countries, and much of the world, which is very dependent on oil. And India is one of the main sufferers, not just because of the oil, because we have 9 million people there.
Yes.
That's the big thing. Then, of course, their remittances. Then of course, all the FDI that could have come from the Gulf states to India. So it's a big issue for India, for many countries in the world. But at this point, no one seems to be keen on a ceasefire.
Well, that seems to be the crux. Are we now staring at an endless war with no pause or ceasefire or truce in sight? Remains to be seen, because multiple statements have been coming in, Iran also being unrelenting as far as its attacks are concerned. Shinjoy continues to be with us because we talk about as what President Trump has now said, firmly drawing a line, ruling out any ceasefire with Iran. Trump says that dialogue may be possible, but a halt in hostilities is not on the table, saying that you don't do a ceasefire with the side that you are literally obliterating. Now, the remarks signal a clear hardening of Washington's stance, with the U.S. indicating that military operations will continue despite growing global calls for a de-escalation.
Calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East and to reopen dialogue. What do you say about both?
Well, look, we can have dialogue, but I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. They don't have any equipment. They don't have any spotters. They don't have anti-aircraft. They don't have radar. And their leaders have all been killed at every level. We're not looking to do that.
Now, as today being the 22nd day of the war, it seems that the battleground seems to have changed or entered the Indian Ocean. Remember the first initial days, it was the attack that happened on Iris Dina, the Iranian warship that was sunk on part of the US military. And now it seems that that area is in, a center stage as far as Iran seems to have pushed the conflict into a strategic waters, targeting the critical US-UK base at Diego Garcia, a base where thousands of kilometers away from the Iranian mainland. And Iran seems to have fired 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at the island in the Indian Ocean, but neither of them, however, struck the target. The escalation, however, seems to be undeniable, and the theater of war is now getting bigger by the day, because the question is, did Iran actually fire long-range missiles at Diego Garcia base? Because this seems to be the situation that now seems to involve nearly covering a distance of roughly 4,000 kilometers. Well, does Iran, Shinjoy, have that kind of capability, the missile coverage when it comes to the range beyond 2,000 kilometers, that it can actually hit targets more than that?
Well, they have missiles which have a range of about 3,000 kilometers. There's no doubt about that. But this one, clearly they did. And then you can do things with a missile. You can reduce the warhead, make it smaller, and then that makes it lighter, and then add fuel, add additional fuel to it, which will make it, go a longer distance. So these things can happen. But more than the fact that the capability is there or not, is the intention. The fact that they fired a missile at Diego Garcia just all of a sudden is a clear suggestion, it's a clear message of intention that, look, you Brits, you have allowed America access, okay, we'll give it back. That appears to be the Iranian idea here. And Diego Garcia is important because there are a lot of American assets there, ships, planes, and so on. So as a result, the Iranians would say it's a legitimate target.
Yes.
And it's a base and which has a lot of material there, a lot of equipment there. So they tried 2 of their missiles. One didn't quite make it. The other was shot down, was intercepted.
But it is still not clear how much of a distance that the missiles actually covered. You know, even if it fired the ranges between 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers, that is something that has not been confirmed, because this explanation there on your screens will actually give out how far Diego Garcia, the base in the Chagos Island, is actually from the Iranian mainland. And what the explanation that is now coming across, because it hosts the key US-UK military facility and part of the British Indian Ocean Territory, the base that is operated mainly by the United States and serves as a major hub for air and naval operations. Now, this is coming at a time when the UK initially was hesitant, and the statement that also came in from Keir Starmer, to which President Trump had expressed his disappointment. But as far as defensive actions are now concerned, defensive operations are concerned, it seems that the UK has allowed the US to actually use that military base. But why was it attacked in the first place? Because this attack comes hours reports emerged that UK allowed the uses of its military bases by US during the war. And now Iran has also sent this blunt warning to UK, to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, saying that it is up to you, because you have now put the lives of the British people and the interest of the British people at risk and at stake, because then Iran will come after the UK. Iranian Foreign Minister Rakchi has now accused Keir Starmer of putting British lives at risk, and his message is blunt. Stop using UK bases for striking or face consequences, and those bases should not be used by the US.